Hello, this is Soul here to bring you a guide on patch 8.2, the Rise of Azshara, specifically on how to maximize your reputation gains, so you, sir or madam, can take off into the skies of Kultiris, Zandalar, and etc. as soon as you can. According to a recent article on Forbes starring Ian Hezekostas, obtaining flight before the new 8.2 raid opens, aka Season 3, is, quote, probably possible. I'm here to keep your head straight and make sure that that is definitely possible. Some of this information may sound like common sense, because it is, but it'll still be worth it to use this video as a reference for how awesome you know you already are. Keep in mind that this guide is based on PTR information, and most of it is going to be outdated. Also, due to the nature of random rares, world quests, and emissary quests, your mileage will vary, so let's get right to it. Oh, and hit that subscribe button for more of this and all things Warcraft, and 3, 2, 1, let's go. There's a single add-on type that I recommend very strongly that you keep up to date, and that's the kind of tracking add-on, like handy notes for rares and resources. There are going to be rare chests and rares, and they don't have a very fast spawn rate. Tracking the new herbs and ore for you gatherers will be very helpful too. Keep an eye out for updates on handy notes for 8.2, in fact if there is one I will link it in the description below, especially if those really helpful rare tracking add-ons pop up as well. Now I published the video a while back on general preparation before the patch, so take a look at that for a few more details. That's also in the link below, but I'll just keep it brief here. You're not going to be doing a lot of direct artifact power farming for your first few weeks in Nazca Tar or Mecha Gan. So if you have nothing better to do, and your neck is at level 50, you can farm for Paragon boxes. Every box you have ready is 2500 artifact power, and you can basically bank up to 3 for each of the 6 reputations. Have a healthy stock of the different trade goods ready, because there's a daily over in Mecha Gan to turn in some resources for reputation, similar to world quests in 8.0 and 8.1. And get yourself a bunch of gliders. That's definitely going to be a thing in Nazca Tar. When 8.2 first begins, you'll start off by opening up everything that you've been saving up, from your Mythic and PvP caches, to Paragon boxes you farmed, to Island Expedition quest turn-ins, and everything that I forgot to mention. That'll give you a nice boost of artifact power because, like I said in this guide, you're not going to care here. There is some conflicting info when it comes to the neck level requirements. On Live Realms, you need approximately 50,000 artifact power to reach level 51, but on the PTR, you need more than 80k, so don't be surprised if you see a weird number. Unlocking the content in 8.2 will take a little bit less than an hour. You'll first plunge into Nazca Tar. Plunge, water, right. Then you'll get whisked away on an adventure to unlock your Heartforge and your first essence, and then upon returning to Nazca Tar, you'll see a quest to go to Mecha Gan. Once you've completed the introduction to Mecha Gan, you're now ready to start the grind. If Blizzard is in fact full of good people, you're going to see an emissary to complete Nazca Tar world quests on the day of the patch. You won't have world quests for Nazca Tar unlocked yet, but don't sweat it. Meanwhile, Mecha Gan doesn't have an emissary, but it always has a world quest available each day to either open up chests, defeat rares, or complete activities, which is just another way of saying open up chests, defeat rares, and complete daily quests. Both zones are going to have a certain routine to run, and I'm going to assume that you wanted to do as much as you can in each zone, each day. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll help you avoid getting lost. So let's go. We'll start off with Mecha Gan first. When you drop in, there are several goals to meet each day. 1 is to complete the 1 world quest in the zone like I mentioned before. 2 is to complete every available daily in the zone. 3 is to kill rares that you haven't killed before. And last is to grind your face for reputation, which I think you should only consider if you give yourself the time. Daily quests in Mecha Gan are typically found in Rustbolt, the main hub of the zone, but that's not the only place to visit. There could also be quests in Bondo's Yard to the west, and another to the north, maybe another to the west. You sort of get the idea. There might be small daily quests all over the island. Thankfully, Mecha Gan is not very big, so it's easy enough to drop by each of the areas daily quests might be, because you're also going to be hunting for rares. This is going to feel pretty organic, as in, hey, there's your goal. Oh wait, there's a distraction. That sort of thing. Despite my testing, I'm not able to confirm 100% how often you get reputation for killing rares. Rares can give anywhere between 50 and 75 rep, which is pretty significant when it adds up. But considering weekly PTR builds, a character wipe, and just the overall nature of testing, I can't say for sure if you get reputation from a rare once per reset, or if only on the first kill. But with that said, rares are still worth killing whenever you see the big star on your minimap. There's a chance for some cool stuff, including resources, quest breadcrumbs, mounts, and other helpful items. But anyway, let's get back to Mecha Gan. Crafting in Mecha Gan runs off of two main resources, spare parts and energy cells. Spare parts are easy enough to gather from everything that you loot in Mecha Gan, but if you're running short, I find that the heaps between Rustbolt and Bondo's Yard are the best place to farm, at least considering mob density and the effort that it takes to kill them. There are also these small packs of mobs standing under a floating crate, which when opened also gives a few parts. These give a pretty good return of parts and they're easy to kill, and they happen to be dotted all over the middle of the map. Energy cells are a little bit different. The rate at which you get them is really low, and I'll explain why you need them later. There are empty energy cells that drop much more frequently, but you can't do anything with them as they are. Every few days you can have them turned into energy cells from a special construction project, so here's my advice on what you should do with them. You'll get a few energy cells early on, but don't use them on anything yet. Basically ignore the big construction projects like the drill. As you kill rares, you'll get more and more recipes to make cool stuff, but hold off on that for now. Each day you're going to check in with this person here to see what kind of construction projects are available, but you'll want to wait until you can build an energy charging station, which is located at Bondo's Yard to the west. The day that this is up, go to the charging station and see if anyone has built it already. It takes some spare parts and energy cells to craft, and you should have enough energy cells to build it yourself if you want. Once you do, you can convert all those empty energy cells into energy cells, so just take care of all of them. It's a weird way of controlling the whole energy cell economy, but oh well. There are a few cool things you can make with these parts and cells, including special items that spawn rare bosses and weapon stations. Rare bosses drop rare stuff. The weapon stations are a construction project, so they're not always available, but they can make useful items, especially this flamethrower that can totally melt enemies and is on a 1-minute cooldown. Here's a side note about these extra abilities. There are different buffs you can get in the zone that give you this extra action button, like the flamethrower. If you happen to pick up a different buff or start a quest that gives you an extra action button, the previous buff goes away, so keep that in mind. So why are you saving these parts and cells? What does this really have to do with reputation? Like I said earlier, rare mobs give reputation, even if it's a small amount. Keeping a stock of one of these items that helps spawn rares is useful. On top of that though, Mecha Gan has different events that happen each day, one of which is Construction Day, when all construction projects are available. This is going to be the day when you blow most of your parts and cells to access rare mobs and other loot. And since it's Construction Day, you can also make energy cells too. Hopefully other people are thinking the same thing, so on a day like this, you won't be the only person spending your hard-earned parts. So to summarize your standard daily experience here in Mecha Gan, you want to drop in and take care of every daily that you see. In fact, do a complete circuit around the island to find out-of-the-way quests. When traveling back and forth, kill every rare that's flagged to keep giving you rewards. Complete the world quest objective in the zone. Check in at Bondo's Yard and build energy cells whenever the construction station is up. Farm these guys with boxes for spare parts if you need. And on Construction Day, build weapon stations and drill your way to rares that you haven't found yet. Finally, there's a way that you can continually farm for rep. Over at Junkwat Depot, there are elite mobs that can pack a real punch. These mobs drop the following items. Gather enough of them, and you can create an item that you can turn in nearby. Each turn-in gives you 75 rep, and it's repeatable. Your best practice, of course, is to join a group to annihilate these elites, and have a big old farm party. There are a few things that can still help you out though. The rares in this area have a low chance of dropping a special part that you can use to repair a weather machine nearby. This machine affects the mobs here, and it makes them easier to kill. Also considering crafting a weapon station to help out too. The weapons you get last for 12 hours as long as you stay in the zone, so don't leave and don't replace it by accident. Personally, one of my favorite things to craft from Mecha Gan are these bombs. Just be careful that you don't go overboard and run out of parts. The bombs themselves pack a punch in any situation, but especially Mecha Gan because it also stuns enemies. Not only that, these don't share a cooldown with potions and have a short 15-second cooldown. Farming the Mecha Gan will get a lot easier over time as you amass resources and get more recipes from that Pascal bot. It won't be just you, but other players will also be building resources, and eventually you may find that most construction projects are already built, which should help you along. With that routine out of the way, let's go to Nazca Tar. Unlike Mecha Gan, this zone starts off with a heavy load of content that'll take you through most of the zone and give you an opportunity to discover most of the flight paths, upgrade your Flight Master's whistle, and by the end of your first day, hopefully get to friendly reputation. After that first day though, you're going to find yourself following a more routine schedule, but we'll get to that in a moment. Early on, you'll be introduced to your new combat allies, who don't just help you kill stuff, but they offer additional rewards as they get stronger. Following a short introduction questline, you can choose one follower to hang out with you each day. Between the two factions, the Waveblade Ankoan for the Alliance and the Unshackled for the Horde, each of their combat allies brings a role to the table. One is a tank, one is kind of a stealthy DPS, and the last is a caster. As a Horde person, I chose Poen, because he happens to also be a healer, which is pretty dang sweet. But no matter which one you decide to use, you're going to want to stick with that one person because they get stronger as they rank up. And they are strong, and the stronger they are, the easier it'll be to get through the rep grind. When you eventually hit Revered rep, that's when you probably have some decent gear by then, so you can relax and swap to different combat allies more freely. To put things nicely, let me be upfront and say that it's gonna take a while to get used to the terrain, and you'll be using gliders to get around quite a bit. And thankfully you will unlock your Flight Master's whistle on the first day. The mob packs can be pretty unfriendly, and elite mobs are not uncommon. You'll want to come here prepared. Even crafting bombs from Mecha Gan will be useful here. On top of that, the campaign in Nazca Tar has a few bottlenecks. You may also know this as time gating. This though has been changing almost every other week on the PTR. At one point we had to complete a number of activities, and now we have to level our combat allies. Regardless though, this shouldn't have much bearing on pushing to Revered in 2 to 3 weeks. Your early objective here in the zone is to progress through the story as quickly as possible, and then you'll be able to progress through the usual cycle of daily content. There isn't any reliable source of continuous rep like there is in Mecha Gan, so it's critical that you complete what appears to be 3 combat allied quests each day, on top of the dailies and the world quest that you see, and you want to check in again maybe twice a day for a world quest to refresh. So your daily routine is going to look something like this. You drop in and you pick up your combat ally. Pick up all your daily quests because there are quite a few. Take care of all of your objectives while keeping an eye out for rares and treasure chests that you haven't opened yet. This is where add-ons are tremendously useful. Now here's some side things. Sort of tucked away is this place called Marty's Laboratory. While questing and killing stuff, you'll find red and yellow shards that you can use here, but you're gonna have to check in daily to see if this quest appears. It seems kind of random. But using these shards will spawn a powerful mob that you shouldn't have too much trouble with, but turning this quest in will award quite a bit of rep. There are also PvP objectives in the zone if you're interested in war mode. I haven't been able to determine with certainty that you're going to get reputation. The same goes for the Battle for Nazca Tar PvP event. The rewards don't seem to be finalized and you can only participate in it every hour. Periodically, Naga commanders will appear, who also reward reputation, but once they're killed, they're gone, until the next time they all respawn at once, so you might want to drop what you're doing and go get them. Also periodically, at the center of the map is a special event called the Summons of the Deep. Your objective is to kill a bunch of Naga before a really powerful creature is summoned by them. It appears that the creature comes regardless, but if the event begins and 5 minutes pass by without those Naga being killed, the creature is even more powerful and can easily wipe small groups. Killing this though will reward more rep, so again this is something that'll make you stop what you're doing so you can take part in the event. I have one more tip for this zone that is likely to get fixed before going live, but I'll mention it anyway. If you have a combat ally out and you happen to log out in Nazca Tar, that ally will still be with you when you log back in. So I tested this, and here's what happens after a daily reset. I was able to do a round of combat allied quests with the one that I already had, and then I switched to another, so I was able to do a second round of quests, that is, with a different ally. Now this might not amount to much, depending on if there are changes on how we gain experience for these combat allies, but this might be something that you can take advantage of. So let's wrap things up with my findings. 1 week after starting a new character, and completing maybe 75 to 80% of the quests and rares available, I was able to get to Honor Reputation with both factions. Based on that assessment, you should be able to get to Revered maybe around the end of the 2nd or the beginning of the 3rd week. Like I said earlier, for Nazca Tar there are a few factors that play in, like how often the Nazca Tar emissary quest will be available, as well as the quest to go into Mardivis's lab. For Mecha Gan, it's mostly going to depend on when the big construction event is. All in all, I suggest giving a bit more attention to Nazca Tar because there's rep that you can miss. At least in Mecha Gan, you can make up for lost time by farming Junkwat Depot for a little while, and I have no doubt that there are going to be groups running it, so you just gotta pop right in. Alternatively, you can pour all of your energy into Mecha Gan first, grind your way to Revered, and then you only have Nazca Tar to worry about afterwards. It's your call, and I like that this grind feels a little bit more varied because of the random spawns and because there's a mix of predictable and repeatable activities. I hope this guide helps, and if so, like the video. I know it's a little weird because it's impossible for me to mathematically calculate exactly when you'll hit certain milestones, but if all this guide did was reinforce how much you already know, hey, you can gloat in the comment below too. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.